Daniel Taylor, if AJ wins, who would you pick next? Wilder at Wembley?
They want me to fight Mike Tyson, Wilder, Mike Tyson again, Wilder again, Tyson Fury, put him in under the knife, chop him up a bit, get him back to fighting weight, back to Wilder. But you know what, right? This little devil on my shoulder, the fighting man, says Wilder at Wembley, boom. And then this devil on my shoulder, the manager hat, says, what's best to guide my career? So it's playing devil's advocate, putting them together and seeing what works out best for my career, do you know what I mean?
But so, Wilder at Wembley?
It depends. I think if it's pushed that way, it has to happen. And I just think, I'm going to do things my way, innit? If Wilder works, we're going to make it happen. If Wilder isn't the right opponent for next year, then we'll put it back on into 2019. But I'm just going to do things my way. People just can't rush my career. That's one thing I've learned, is that I've got a career, I need to map it out. I'm going to take fights at the right time for me. And yeah, if it's next year or the year after or the year after, when I fight him, I'll be in a position to beat him. I'm happy with the pace, definitely, because we wouldn't be here, do you know what I mean? And we wouldn't be talking about these fights. But it's being realistic about where I'm at and understanding that this is a career as well, because who knows, do you know what I mean? I could take that fight next year and it might not have been the right time. I may have needed another 2 months. You know, as I said, the fighter on my shoulder says, let's rock and roll. The coach on my shoulder says, you know what, Josh? You know, you need to just work on a few more things before you take a fight like that, because when it's all said and done, all that matters is that win. All that matters is that win. Not the fact people say, he didn't fight him here or he didn't fight him there. The manager, my coach, will determine when I fight Wilder. Me on this hand says, it's no problem, we'll fight whenever, but I listen to what my coach says and says, this isn't about, you know, putting on a good show for the promoters and anyone. This is about your career, your health, and the decisions you make will kind of pave your future in the sport of boxing. So you have to be smart about each decision you make.
Welcome back to Keep It Real Boxing. This is Cypherbox, and yes, I know it's been a while since I've done a video. I've been really busy from away from my channel. Haven't really put up any content, but I felt, you know what, I need to do one of those long videos again, because over the last couple of weeks, a lot has happened between AJ and Wilder, Eddie Hearn, etc., and all that sort of stuff. So let's just get straight into it. We know full well now that it's been announced that you know, AJ's going to fight Alexandra Povetkin. He's WBA mandatory challenger. It's going to happen at Wembley, 22nd of September. Okay, it's going to be shown on Dazn. Yeah, and it's going to be also shown on Sky Box Office. Now, when I was thinking about where do I start with this video, you know, so much, like I said, so much news happens quick, fast, and you know, it's hard to keep up with sometimes. And I thought, where should I start with this one? And I thought, you know what? Let's start right here. So AJ put this tweet up saying, sorry for not posting in a while. I've just been hanging around waiting for a signature. Okay, so let's talk about signatures, yeah? Didn't the WBA on the 26th of June, which was a Tuesday, yeah, basically tell Eddie Hearn that you have 24 hours to sign the contract between Anthony Joshua and Alexandra Povetkin. Yeah, so that means by the end of play on the 27th, or at the latest, you know, the morning of the 28th, that fight should have been signed, and then probably by about the end of the week or so, the fight should have been announced. Okay. Now, the fight between AJ and Povetkin was announced on July 16th, which was roughly about 20 days later after the WBA had ordered this 24-hour deadline, which kind of shows, is an example of the WBA, Eddie Hearn, were basically full of BS. Okay, now, if it took this long to sign Povetkin AJ and announce it and all that sort of stuff, remember I said in my last video, yeah, I said it in my last video that, you know, it wouldn't hurt the WBA to give Team Wilder and Team AJ another week to work on the negotiations and the signing of the contract between AJ and Wilder. Yeah, what is a week? It's not going to kill you. Yeah, one more week isn't going to hurt. It's not going to cause any delays or any problems. It's a week. Yeah, and I said that Eddie Hearn should have said to the WBA, give me one more week. Yeah, give me at least till next week Monday, And if it doesn't happen by then and we don't get a contract signed, sealed and delivered back from Deontay Wilder's team, you can go ahead and order the Povetkin fight. I also said in my last video that I can guarantee you that Eddie Hearn never asked the WBA for one more week. He didn't even attempt it. Yeah, such a big fight. We all want to see it. Eddie Hearn really wants to see it as well. He really wants that fight, you know. So if you really want that fight, you would ask, what's it going to hurt? All they're going to say, the worst they could say to you, the WBA, is no, we're not going to give you another week. It doesn't kill to ask. And I was right. Eddie Hearn never asked the WBA for one more week. And listen to this.
On the...
Would they actually strip Anthony Joshua of that belt?
No, but I think, well, we couldn't have asked for an exception request within the time frame, no. So, would they have stripped him? I don't know. They're pretty close with Povetkin and
but they're very close with you and Joshua as well.
They are. Like, listen, I think they would have supported another thing. People go, oh, the WBA didn't want the Wilder fight. Do you know the sanction fees from the Wilder fight? I mean, governing bodies.
So if you'd said to Mendoza, just give me a couple more weeks, what would he have said?
Absolutely not.
So you just heard Eddie Hearn say that, one, that the WBA would not strip Anthony Joshua of his title, which is what I said in my last video, and the proof's in the pudding because it's taken 20 days to make the fight with Povetkin, and the WBA's orders were clear. Sign the contract with Povetkin within 24 hours or we strip Anthony Joshua, and that has not happened. Yeah? And Eddie Hearn has admitted that the WBA would not strip Anthony Joshua, and look what's happened. AJ still got the belt. 2, he's admitted openly there, saying that him and AJ have a good, strong personal relationship with the WBA. Okay, which means you have a lot of influence on the WBA, right? 3, he's turned around and said that, you know, a lot of people saying that, oh, you know, the WBA didn't want the AJ versus Wilder fight, etc, etc, etc. And he said, do you know how much money's involved in the unification fight? Well, if that's the case, why didn't you ask for a week's extension? And considering you have so much influence over the WBA, I'm pretty sure they would have gone with that idea, right? Why didn't you ask for a week's extension? Because he's admitting at the end there when Kugan Cassidy says to, well, if you ask Mendoza, you know, for another week or another couple of weeks, you know, he's like, no, you don't want to give it to us. Do you see what I'm trying to say? If the fight between AJ and Wilder is considerably more financially beneficial to the WBA, why would they not give you an extra week to sign the fight? It's 1 week. It's not going to hurt you. Why would you not? Why wouldn't the WBA do that? And if you have such a strong personal relationship with the WBA, which he's clearly admitting, that should not have been a problem. You could have easily got that week's extension. You know why Eddie Hearn didn't ask that question to the WBA? Because he didn't want that extension. He didn't want the AJ Wilder fight. Yeah? And he has his influence over the WBA, and he probably told them, hey, they're about to sign the contract. We need you to put in a 24-hour deadline so we can block this fight with Wilder and we can proceed with Povetkin. Proof's in the pudding. It's all there. Look, I just played it to you. And I said it in my last video as well. Now let's move on to Wembley Stadium. It's been announced that AJ's next 2 fights will happen at Wembley Stadium. September the 22nd this year and April the 13th next year. But Eddie, I thought Wembley Stadium wasn't available for September.
We wanted to do the event in September, but Josh wants the box in September, or wanted to. Still wants to, but may not. And our original offer was based on a September fight. Obviously, last night you got Canelo, Golovkin announced, and it's only, I think, 10 or 11 weeks till September 15th. So, because of how long they've taken to come back, September's out really anyway. It doesn't work for US TV, doesn't work in a build-up sense either. So, we're looking now, if we do Wilder, for more like October, November. But originally, well, Josh wants to do this fight at Wembley, we all do. But obviously we can't do the fight in Wembley if it's not in September. So now we're looking at Cardiff for potentially October, November. Now we've got to go back to them, go through the dates, etc., speak to US TV again. And, you know, that's one of the things. I mean, this is a perfect coup for Dazn to nail this fight. And we'll talk to them, obviously. We'll talk to other American broadcasters as well. But I expect to have a contract ready for them today, maybe, but certainly by the end of tomorrow.
And before you even try and use the whole Canelo versus Triple G rematch as an excuse for the AJ Wilder fight not happening, don't even think about it. Because I said this in my last video, and I'm about to repeat what I said in my last video again. Okay? Now, when Eddie Hearn sent the original offer email to Shelly Finkel, he set a date in there for September 15th. His excuses were, well, we didn't really know whether the Triple G, you know, Canelo fight was going to happen at that time, but now it's happening, so we can't, you know, do it. September's out of the question. But I'm going to say this, like I said last time round, you knew Canelo Alvarez was going to fight. Yeah? You know Canelo Alvarez was going to fight, regardless of whether it was against Triple G or Daniel Jacobs, Billy Joe Saunders, you know, Jermall, Charlo, whoever you want to name, whichever opponent, you knew Canelo Alvarez was going to fight. Yeah? And remember, Canelo Alvarez is the biggest pay-per-view star in America right now. He is the rock star of boxing at this moment of time. Yeah? So why would you set that date anyway? Yeah? Regardless of whether he was fighting Triple G, doesn't matter. Canelo Alvarez was going to fight. We all know Canelo Alvarez has taken over the Cinco de Mayo weekends from Floyd Mayweather. He only fights twice a year. That's May, Cinco de Mayo weekend, and September, Cinco de Mayo weekend. So why would you try and go up against him at all? Why would you put that in the original offer email to Shelly Finkel and Deontay Wilder? You would not go up against Canelo. You don't go up against Canelo. Period. Yeah, and you can't say, oh, we didn't know he was going to fight. Yes, you did, because he always fights on Cinco de Mayo weekend. And even Oscar De La Hoya stated that regardless of whether the fight happens, the rematch happens with Triple G, Canelo Alvarez will still be fighting on September 15th against someone. And not only that, Oscar De La Hoya approached you and contacted you and tried to set up a fight between Canelo Alvarez and Daniel Jacobs, which you yourself, Mr. Eddie Hearn, confirmed, saying that yes, Oscar De La Hoya has been in touch with me and we are trying to arrange a potential fight between Canelo Alvarez and Daniel Jacobs for September 15th. So don't even try and use that excuse, as that's the reason why the fight between AJ and Wilder, you know, couldn't happen.
People, please, one more question.
Jorge Mille.
Sorry. Canelo, congrats. It was a great performance, whatever the scores tonight, but would you be ready to fight again this year, or if a rematch happens, you're looking probably for next May?
No, voy a descansar el resto del año, ya sería para el próximo año, mayo o septiembre.
No, I'm going to rest. I mean, I'm going to rest the rest of the year, and we'll be fighting next year, May and September.
Saúl, Jorge Mille por acá.
So there you have it. Canelo Alvarez in his post-fight press conference after his first fight with Triple G, saying that he would not be fighting again in 2017. He'd be fighting again next year, May and September, Cinco de Mayo weekends. So regardless of whether it was Triple G, Billy Joe Saunders, whoever, name whatever fighter, name any fighter, doesn't matter. Canelo Alvarez was fighting September 15th regardless. Yeah, his ban from his failed drug test was ending on August 17th, which means he was cleared to fight September 15th. And you know what? Oscar De La Hoya stated it clearly that once the ban's over, we're going to go September 15th, which means Canelo will be training during his ban period, his suspension, should I say. Okay? And I'm hearing another excuse now as well that, well, we couldn't go a week after Canelo Alvarez versus Triple G. You know, I would have got laughed out the building in America by, you know, the US broadcasters. Okay, well, Showtime clearly didn't have a problem with it. They were happy to go ahead with that, with the week after or 2 weeks after. And if the fight couldn't happen in September, then make the AJ Wilder fight in October, November, like you were originally saying in the audio clip I played to you. You can make that fight in the Principality Stadium, 78,000. All right, it's not Wembley, but the fight could have happened. And you know what? With all this stuff that Eddie Hearn's been going on, that Wembley wasn't available, I reckon Wembley probably is available in October, and it is probably available in November as well. This was all an excuse. They didn't want the fight to happen. Yeah, they're using the US broadcasters as an excuse as well now. What really happened was, because Showtime would have gone with it. I reckon Showtime Boxing would have gone with it. Actually, Stephen Espinoza has kind of expressed that already. Okay, but what's funny is, you know what happened here, right? Dazn put pressure on Eddie Hearn. He says, you want to do business with us, Eddie, you need to get AJ on our platform. Yeah, we want AJ to be the opening fight in September when we launch our US boxing app. We want AJ to fight on Dazn from now on, not on any other US broadcaster. And that's what's happened. And look how it's played out. Am I wrong? No, I'm right. It's played out exactly how I said it would in my last video. Exactly. Now, there's another reason why they didn't want the fight to take place in September. Yeah? Don't forget, I just mentioned that AJ has a 2-fight deal with Wembley Stadium. That's September 22nd, 2018 and April 13th, 2019. Right? Now imagine if Wilder fought AJ in September, on September 22nd, yeah? And let's say Wilder wins the fight. Wilder gets a rematch. And do you honestly believe that Deontay Wilder will have the rematch at Wembley on April 13th? No. Deontay Wilder's going to make Anthony Joshua come to him. Deontay Wilder's going to make Anthony Joshua come to Las Vegas. Deontay Wilder's going to make Anthony Joshua come to America. Yeah? So what happens with the April 13th date with Wembley Stadium? Because if they've signed a deal with Wembley Stadium, Wembley Stadium are well in their rights to take Matchroom Boxing, AJ and Eddie Hearn to court for breach of contract. Right? Not only that, let's just say there hasn't been a deal signed with Wembley Stadium. They've just booked the venue. Again, Wembley Stadium are still well in their rights to take Matchroom Boxing to court, because they've held this date for you for, you know, several months, and now you're saying that, oh, we can't fight now because we've got to go to America to have the rematch with Wilder. Yeah? But not only that, there's other reasons behind it as well. You can look at it from another angle. Eddie Hearn knows that, you know what, he's admitted it blatantly himself, that Deontay Wilder is the toughest test and the biggest threat to Anthony Joshua's position in the heavyweight division and in world boxing. He knows it's a dangerous fight. So him and AJ, let's get a couple more paydays before we step into the ring with Wilder. That's why, another reason why you could say that they didn't want the fight in September. It's all there in your face. Yeah, it's right there in your face, but some of you are just either being ignorant, you truly are ignorant, or you're playing ignorant. But it's unbelievable how many people are still defending this behavior from Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua. If you're a real boxing fan, you would not condone this sort of behavior. So let's move on from Wembley now. I think I've said enough about that. Okay. Now, Eddie Hearn has come out recently and said that Deontay Wilder deserves less money to fight Anthony Joshua in April now, because Anthony Joshua is going to be fighting Povetkin, and Anthony Joshua's profile is only going to go one way, and that's up. You know, when he was doing that thing and all that stuff in the IFL interview, his latest IFL interview. Okay. He's also said that Anthony Joshua will sign the contract for the $15 million offer to fight in April and send it to Deontay Wilder. Now remember, if you watch my last videos, for those who watched my last video, you will remember me saying that I said that the fight in April between AJ and Wilder would be more financially lucrative in April than it is right now in September. Okay, because as it takes, you know, longer for that fight to be made, you're creating more hype, and obviously the value of the fight goes up. I also stated that I also provided in my last video, in the description of my last video, and I spoke about it as well, that Barry Hearn stated, that's the father of Eddie Hearn, Barry Hearn stated that he would advise Anthony Joshua to put the fight off for a year because he believes there's more money in the fight if you wait another year and don't do the fight right now.
It's too early for Wilder to fight Joshua, really, but in the absence of no one else, I think it will happen quite soon. Probably sooner than I would like. I would like to see it happening in 2 years' time, when they're both huge and we're talking about $1 billion income and not $100 million income. And by the way, it doesn't do $100 million today, despite, you know, the truth of it is, if you want to listen to bullshit, it's fine, listen somewhere else, but I'll tell you the truth, it probably does $60 million. But still a lot of money. But it could do 600 million if they both stayed undefeated. Well, it has to happen if both of them stay unbeaten. There's always a risk that there was a risk with Manny Pacquiao and Mayweather that someone got beaten. Fight fans, traditionalists, people that have been there, loving boxing forever, are so massively outnumbered by casual fans that you listen to them, but you don't really listen because you have a plan. And we have a plan for Joshua, which makes him a billionaire. Not a millionaire or a multi-millionaire, but a billionaire. Manny Pacquiao Mayweather took place at the right time, but frustrated people for years about why wasn't it happening. But when it did happen, it was hugely mega.
So there you have it. You heard Barry Hearn himself saying that the fight's bigger in a year or 2 years from now. Do you see? It just makes me laugh that people don't see this stuff. Yeah. Well, you block your ears when this sort of stuff's being played or videos are like this out there. You know, it just amazes me that people are ignoring all of this. Yeah. Notice how he touched on how hardcore boxing fans are massively outnumbered by casual boxing fans, which means they know they can easily manipulate the casual boxing fans. And AJ has a lot of casual boxing fans. I'm sorry, but he does. He has a lot of casual boxing fans supporting him. I know a lot of them. Yeah, a lot of them are my friends. Yeah, okay. And they're supporting Anthony Joshua. Okay, because you know what? They know that casual boxing fans don't understand the sport. Casual boxing fans don't bother doing their research. Casual boxing fans will believe whatever you tell them about their favorite fighter because it's what they want to hear. They don't want to hear the truth. So we can easily manipulate and use the casual boxing fans to our advantage. Yeah, but he's also admitted that they don't want the fight now. They want the fight in a year or 2 years from now. You know, why make $60 million right now when we can make, you know, $600 million is what he's saying. Yeah? Who cares about whether these guys fight in their primes? It's about the money. We want to make as much money as we can out of this. Yeah? So that clearly tells you what, and he also said, we have a plan for Anthony Joshua to make him a billionaire. Not a millionaire, a billionaire. And we have a plan and we're going to follow that plan. And they're following that plan. Right? Now let's go back to Eddie Hearn's original comments that after AJ beats Alexandra Povetkin, his profile is going to go only one way, and that's shoot up, right? And Deontay Wilder's profile is going to go down, yeah? Okay, first of all, you're facing a PED abuser in Alexandra Povetkin, yeah? He's a drug cheat, simple as that, we know that. Okay, he's never been a world champion. He's actually a step down from your last opponent because your last opponent was a world champion in Joseph Parker. So your profile may increase slightly, but it's not going to go shoot like the way Eddie Hearn's making it out to be. Yeah, and I personally think, you know, Alexandra Povetkin's probably, you know, perfect for Anthony Joshua. He's a perfect opponent in terms of beating him. You know. I think the height difference, the range, the reach difference, you know, I saw the Vladimir Klitschko fight against Povetkin, and Povetkin just struggled with Klitschko's height and his reach all night long. Couldn't get around it. You know, and I imagine that will be the same sort of performance AJ puts in against Povetkin. Yeah, and he'll probably knock him out. So I don't think that this will raise his profile massively. Yeah. Now, as for Deontay Wilder, no one can deny Deontay Wilder's profile has risen massively since last year. Okay? And as long as he remains undefeated and he stays in the eye of the public, you know, and in the media, yeah, it will continue to rise. So I don't think what Eddie Hearn's saying is that Deontay Wilder's going to go, whoop. It's not going to happen. Because his name is now attached to Anthony Joshua, and Anthony Joshua's name is now attached to Deontay Wilder. So people are always going to talk about it because this is the fight they want to see. And as long as people are talking about it, Wilder's profile is going to keep growing. Yeah? It's not going to change. So all that nonsense, again, you know, like I said, with what Barry Hearn said about casual boxing fans, only casual boxing fans are going to buy into that nonsense. Because they're easily manipulated. Not only that, Eddie Hearn has admitted himself that he has said on his last interview on Sky Sports Toe to Toe podcast that he said Deontay Wilder isn't a US pay-per-view star, but neither is Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is not a pay-per-view star in America either, but together they are. Listen to this.
So I think they might have to try a new model in the States now. It'll bomb because he's not a pay-per-view fighter yet. Particularly, Joshua's not a pay-per-view fighter in America. Together they are, but...
So there you have it. Eddie Hearn saying that Wilder's not a pay-per-view star in America, neither is Anthony Joshua, but together they are pay-per-view. Okay? So with that, explain to me how Deontay Wilder deserves less money for a fight with Anthony Joshua. If together they are pay-per-view stars in America, which is the biggest market in the world. Someone please explain that to me. How does that make sense? If you know these two can sell a pay-per-view in America together, it clearly states that it takes two to tango is basically what he's saying there, yeah? And one of those two is Deontay Wilder, which means he has a massive worth in this fight. His worth in this fight is huge. And in actual fact, you should be offering him more money. Like I said, a fight in April will be more financially lucrative. I've always said Deontay Wilder should make more money than what they're offering. I've always said that since day one. I've always said, you know, that the split should be, you know, 70-30 or 65-35 or 60-40. Not a flat fee offered to Deontay Wilder, but a percentage split, a fair percentage split. I've never said that AJ's not the A side. I've never disagreed with that. But Deontay Wilder deserves a percentage split. I've always said that. And he's just admitted it himself that in America, the biggest market out there, where they charge up between what, $60 to $80 for a pay-per-view. And you're going to make way more money than you could here in the UK on a pay-per-view because we only charge like £20. You're telling me Deontay Wilder, who's a key ingredient in making that fight a financial success, deserves less money? Really? Doesn't, you see what I mean? Contradictions. You know, Eddie Hearn just needs to stop doing interviews and stop talking. He just needs to say, no, we're focusing on Povetkin right now. I'm not talking about Wilder anymore. End of. Move on. Next question. You know, stop getting into it. Because the more and more Eddie Hearn talks, the more and more AJ talk, the more they contradict themselves. I remember I said this to you before. A lie will only reveal another lie until the truth comes out. And remember, this isn't just some regular boxing fight. This is a heavyweight showdown between the two best heavyweights on the planet, Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. Yeah? This fight is for the WBA, WBO, IBF, WBC, IBO World Heavyweight Championship titles. Also, the Ring Magazine and Lineal Championship will be there as well. Yeah, that will be up for grabs too. Let's not forget that. It's for the undisputed championship of the world, heavyweight championship of the world. One of these guys is going to be the first undisputed champion in the 4-belt era. This fight is massive, and you're telling me he deserves less money? Get out of there with this stuff, man. Seriously, like, anyone who's buying this nonsense, yeah, seriously, you know what? Go get a brain scan. Seriously. Now, a while ago, you know, a few months ago, I did a video called The Percentages when it came to this fight. Yeah, where I used an example of a 70-30 split and what would that look like for each fighter, yeah, compared to certain amounts of revenue generated for the fight. Okay, so that means Anthony Joshua gets 70% and Wilder gets 30%. Okay, so you heard Barry Hearn. He doesn't believe the fight makes any more than $60 million. Yeah, it doesn't make 100. That's what it tops out at. Okay, so let's start at $50 million. Yeah, let's say the fight makes $50 million. AJ's 70% would be $35 million, and Deontay Wilder's would be $15 million. Okay, let's move to $60 million. Yeah, if the fight made what Barry Hearn says, which is $60 million, AJ's 70% would look like $42 million. Yeah, and Deontay Wilder's 30% would look like $18 million. Okay, let's move to 70 million. Let's say the fight makes $70 million. Yeah, AJ's 70% would be $49 million. Deontay Wilder's 30% would be $21 million. Okay, let's say the fight makes $80 million. Yeah, $80 million. Anthony Joshua's 70% would be $56 million, and Deontay Wilder's 30% would be $24 million. Okay, moving on. Let's say the fight makes $90 million. Yeah, that's $90 million. Okay, AJ's 70% would look like $63 million. Yeah, Deontay Wilder's would be his 30% would look like $27 million. Okay, and let's say the fight does hit the magic number, which we all think it's going to make, except for Barry Hearn, of course, and Eddie Hearn, $100 million. 70% for AJ is $70 million, and 30% for Deontay Wilder would be $30 million. Okay, so you can see that a percentage split works out better for each fighter. And you look at Anthony Joshua, he doesn't lose out, he actually benefits massively from that. So does Deontay Wilder. So why not offer a percentage split? Even a 60-40 split, they still make a hell of a lot of money, and AJ still earns the A side of the fight in terms of money. Do you see what I mean? All this flat fee business is nonsense. It works out better if you do a percentage split. It's fair to both fighters, especially in a fight of this magnitude, a super mega fight like this. Okay, so a long time ago, I did a video on US TV viewership for both fighters. Yeah, how both fighters, Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, have performed in the US in regards to the US TV viewership. And I went as far back as Anthony Joshua's debut against Charles Martin, his debut in America in terms of TV viewership. Yeah, when he won the IBF belt. Okay, so let's start with Deontay Wilder. Right, Deontay Wilder back in so I went back as far as their last 6 or 7 fights. Yeah, so let's start with Deontay Wilder when he fought Johan de Hapis. Yeah, in 2015, September 2015. That fight peaked at 2.36 million views. It averaged at 2.2 million views. The next fight for Deontay Wilder I want to talk about, January 2016. That fight peaked at 623,000 views. Yeah, it was competing against the NFL playoffs. It averaged at 500,000 views. I believe on that night, from the article, the Green Bay Packers were playing the Arizona Cardinals, and that NFL game had 33.4 million viewers at the time. So you can imagine that was quite some stiff competition he was up against. Yeah. Moving on to Deontay Wilder's next fight, which was against Chris Arreola. Yeah, and that fight averaged at 2.54 million viewers. Deontay Wilder's next fight after that was against Gerald Washington. Yeah, that fight averaged at 1.76 million viewers. It peaked at 1.86 million viewers. Okay, let's move on to the next fight. His rematch with Dazn. Yeah, that averaged at 824,000 viewers. Yeah, it peaked at 887,000 viewers. Yeah, he was competing against UFC 217 in New York that same night. And his last fight was against Luis Ortiz, of course. And that fight averaged at 1.1 million viewers. It peaked at 1.2 million viewers. Yeah, he was also competing against UFC 222 again, plus the HBO card that was going on at Madison Square Garden between Kovalev and Mikhailkin, or whatever his name was. And don't forget, Bivol was on that undercard as well. Yeah, Dimitri Bivol was also fighting against Sullivan Barrera. So again, stiff competition, but strong numbers. Yeah, it's fair to say that Deontay Wilder's US TV viewership numbers are very strong. Yeah, so a lot of people do tune in to watch him fight, regardless of what Eddie Hearn and the rest of the world, you know, all the AJ fanboys out there say. Okay, now let's talk about Anthony Joshua's US TV viewership numbers. Okay, let's start with his US TV debut against Charles Martin, when he was challenging Charles Martin for his IBF belt. Okay, that fight, which was April 2016. Okay, that fight averaged at 275,000 viewers. It peaked at 317,000 viewers. His next fight was against Dominic Breazeale. Yeah, that was in June of 2016. Okay, and that fight averaged at 289,000 viewers. Yeah, his next fight was against Eric Molina. Yeah, which was December 2016, and this was the first fight where they actually showed the fight live and did a replay in the evening, again out in America. All right, so when it was live, the fight averaged at 368,000 views. Yeah, it peaked at 390,000 views. When it was replayed later on in the evening, it averaged at 224,000 views and peaked at 244,000 views. Okay, so let's move on next, yeah, to the big one, Vladimir Klitschko. Yeah, when Anthony Joshua fought Vladimir Klitschko. All right, Showtime showed the fight live. HBO showed the replay later on in the day. Yeah, or later on in the evening. I think it was around 10 o'clock. Yeah. So Showtime, when they showed it live, the fight peaked at 763,000 views. Yeah, it averaged at 659,000 views. When HBO showed the replay later on that evening, it peaked at 890,000 views and averaged at 778,000 views. Okay, which is pretty low if you ask me, considering the two individuals that are involved in the fight. Okay, let's look at the Carlos Takam fight, which happened after that. Okay, that averaged at 334,000 views. Yeah, the replay, yeah, averaged at 309,000 views. Okay, the fight against Joseph Parker. Yeah, so again they showed it live and then showed a replay. Yeah, so when it was shown live, it averaged at 346,000 views and peaked at 379,000 views. Yeah, when they showed the replay later on that evening, it averaged at 430,000 views and peaked at 483,000 views. Okay, so when you add up all those numbers, yeah, for Wilder and Anthony Joshua in terms of their US viewerships, yeah, Wilder's fights add up to 8,924,000 views. AJ's add up to 3,663,000 views. Okay, that's a difference of 5,261,000. Yeah, that's a massive difference between both these fighters in terms of US viewership. Yeah, I'm not saying people don't tune in to watch AJ in the US, but clearly Wilder attracts more in his home country. And remember what Eddie Hearn said, I just played you the clip, yeah, that Wilder on his own is not a US pay-per-view fighter. AJ on his own is not a US pay-per-view fighter, yeah, but together they are. So with what I've just shown you in terms of what Eddie Hearn has said and the information I've given you regarding US viewership numbers for both fighters, why in the hell would Deontay Wilder take any less? Would take less money? Yeah? Clearly, Deontay Wilder is a key factor in making this fight a financial success. So clearly, he deserves a lot more. In my opinion now, when I think about it, it needs to be a 60-40 split. That's fair for me. At least, if not that, at least a 65-35 split. Because Wilder brings a lot to the table. You've heard what Barry Hearn just said, what Barry Hearn thinks and has said. You've heard what Eddie Hearn has said. I provided you the evidence, the proof. Yeah? I've given you the US viewership numbers. I've shown you an example of a 70-30 split, how that works out. Clearly Wilder deserves a lot more money. And if you're a real boxing fan, okay, the one thing you always want is for fighters to make, you know, a fair amount of money in every fight they take. Yeah? Especially in a fight of this magnitude. Yeah? Only the fake casual fans who don't really care about the sport go along with the narrative that Eddie Hearn, Barry Hearn are selling. Yeah? Because a real boxing fan wants to see both fighters get paid well. Yes, you got to have an A side and a B side. Of course, I understand that. And the A side needs to make the most of takes the lion's share. But it doesn't mean you screw over the B side fighter, discredit him, try to discredit him, drag his name through the mud, just so you can pay him peanuts. So you can reap the rewards, the financial rewards of the fight. And take majority, literally all the money, in a sense. That's not right. So let's move on to the Dazn press conference. Yeah? Where Anthony Joshua was challenged by a couple of members of the US media regarding the $50 million offer. Let me just play the clip for you. Here it is.
AJ, why did you ask for the $50 million and then turn it down from Deontay Wilder?
So why are you going to take a 30-second clip from an interview and tell them that's everything I said about the fight?
Well, you essentially asked for the $50 million.
It's a quote, it's a reference. If it is a $100 million fight, give it to me and we'll sign the fight. I didn't see no $50 million. My bank account is still the same, it ain't changed. So I'm looking for that money.
But you said if they give you the $50 million, you would sign tomorrow.
But where is it?
I mean, so you didn't see the proof of funds?
No, bro.
Deontay said he was emailing.
Yeah, I speak to him.
So you don't believe that it was true?
But all I'm saying is I just didn't see the 50 million. That's what he asked me, and that's what I said. We got to play
and I was telling about public.
Here's my point on that comment from Anthony Joshua, right? If you were being so tongue-in-cheek about the $50 million, yeah? If that's your that was what you were trying to say, that you were being tongue-in-cheek, what you said was kind of like tongue-in-cheek, yeah? Why have you spent months talking about the $50 million if you weren't serious about it, or if you were being sarcastic, or you felt it wasn't serious? Yeah? You've spent months and months talking about a $50 million offer. You even spent 4 weeks considering whether you wanted to take the offer of $50 million to fight Wilder in America, like I stated in my last video, right? So why have you spent so much time talking about it if that was your attitude to it? If you weren't taking it seriously, or you thought, the comment I made in that IFL TV was, you know, more tongue-in-cheek, to be honest with you. Like, really? You spent months talking about it though. So I'm about to play you some audio clips I have of, you know, Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua's comments over the past few months regards to the $50 million offer made by Deontay Wilder.
I'll take 50 million up front. If that's the case, Wilder's team, bring me 50 million up front and we'll take the fight. Wilder's team, bring me 50 million up front and we'll take the fight. Bring me 50 million up front and we'll take the fight. Bring me 50 million up front and we'll take the fight.
Of course, course, for fight fans that Anthony Joshua and Wilder will meet in the ring. The 50 million guaranteed of sorts money on the table from an email from Deontay Wilder. Let's catch up right now with Eddie Hearn. What's the latest as the clock ticks?
Oh yes, the clock is ticking, Adam, apparently. We had an email last night from Deontay Wilder, his personal email account, offering us $50 million apparently. And I just written back and said, look, obviously we'd be very interested in that offer, but we can't rely on your email. We need to see quite a few things. Proof of funds will be nice, but more importantly, some kind of contract, some kind of formal paperwork. He always said that he showed us proof of funds. No, he hasn't showed us proof of funds. We're not asking to see proof of funds.
Any update with Wilder?
Yeah, I think the fight's going to happen for sure.
Yeah? Confident?
Yeah, very confident.
50 mil, baby?
Yeah. But I ain't selling my soul for 50 mil.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's where I'm coming from.
We'll keep us updated on what's going on.
Yeah. Have you heard anything from Wilder?
Well, only what Eddie's saying every day. That's, you know.
What from their side?
Literally everything we hear is about what's going on is from what Eddie Hearn's saying. So, but you're confident that'll be your next fight, or?
Very confident.
And actually, when we look at the numbers, with a big American TV partner, it is less than the $50 million offer, but potentially not that much less. So I'm glad we've worked it all out. I'm glad we've done our maths. I'm glad we've taken our time, and I'm glad that the fight will happen in the UK when it does.
The latest is actually my old man's in New York at the moment. I think he's having a cup of coffee with Shelley Finkel right now. We've gone back, we've improved our offers. The conversations have been quite amicable, they've been quite sensible. They made us a very good offer. Some of the points in that offer were good, some were acceptable, some were unacceptable. But the basic response and decision from AJ, Rob McCracken and the team was that after everything that's been built in the UK, a fight of this magnitude, of this history, should take place in the UK for UK fight fans.
So which is it? The $50 million was real. The $50 million wasn't real. I was being serious about my request for my demand for $50 million. I wasn't being serious about my $50 million demand. It was tongue-in-cheek what I said. Oh, you know, we want to see proof of funds. I haven't asked to see proof of funds. You know, oh, they made us a very good offer, but we've decided we want to fight in the UK. Which is it? Like, seriously, AJ, Eddie, get on the same page. These two are not in sync with each other in terms of what they're saying. And you heard what Eddie Hearn said in that last clip. They've made us a very good offer, but we want the fight in the UK, basically. They've made us a very good offer. So that was the $50 million offer you were referring to, yeah? And the clip before that, I think it was, where he says to Kugan Cassius that, you know, when you look at it, you know, having the fight in the UK, basically what he said was, I'm paraphrasing it, basically what he said was that having the fight in the UK, yeah, works out financially less than their $50 million offer. So clearly there was a $50 million offer, it was discussed, and you turned it down. You know, contradiction after contradiction, lie after lie. Do you know what I mean? These guys are just so easy to expose, it's unbelievable. Which is it? Pick a story, Eddie, and stick to it. And put the duct tape back over AJ's mouth. Yeah? Gag him and tie him up, throw him in the back somewhere. And one of you does the talking, if you're gonna talk. My advice to, you know, Hearn and AJ is to just shut up about Wilder altogether. Okay? But the reason they won't shut up about Wilder, a lot of people are saying, well, why don't you just stop talking about Wilder? I've heard a lot of channels saying this. There's a reason for that. They're trying to promote Anthony Joshua in the US right now. They're trying to promote the Dazn app in the US right now. They need Wilder's name right now in the US. Because Anthony Joshua isn't that well known in the US. He isn't. He went to that basketball game and they called him Anthony Johnson or something like that. Couldn't even get his name right. Eddie Hearn's admitted in the past that AJ still has a lot to do to build his profile in the US. He's just admitted, I played you the clip, that AJ is not a pay-per-view star in the US. So they need to promote him in the US. And that's what they're trying to do by using Deontay Wilder's name to promote his name in the US. They need to keep that name. They need Wilder's, that conversation, Wilder, AJ Wilder, going in the, especially in the US, so people can learn who Anthony Joshua is. Very smart. But like I said, you're not fooling me, man. I see past all this stuff. Been watching this sport for too long, and everything I look at, anything in life, I look at things through several angles. And then I'll analyse every single one of those angles and look at it and that's actually the one that makes the most sense. But it's clear what they're trying to do here. They're trying to manipulate the masses into believing their BS. But like I said, pick a story and stick to it. Yeah? You pick a story, either say, hey, you know what, we never saw 50 million, we never asked for proof of funds because we weren't interested, what we said was tongue-in-cheek when we made that demand, etc, etc, the fight we won in the UK. Or you need to say, actually, yeah, they made a really good offer, we turned it down because we wanted the fight in the UK. But stop doing, you're telling two or three stories actually, and you're getting exposed because of it. And to be honest with you, like I said, I don't believe they wanted the fight this year in September or October or November, and I honestly believe that they don't want the fight in April either, because they're still making that same crappy $15 million offer, when Wilder's clearly said, I'm not accepting $15 million offer, I'm not accepting a flat fee, you need to give me a percentage. And rightfully so. I've already said given my take on that. I'm not going to go over it again. Yeah? But I personally think they don't even want the fight for April. I think they're waiting for, hopefully, Tyson Fury will come back. So basically the fight doesn't happen in April. We get, AJ fighting another opponent in April. And then by the end of 2019, they're hoping Tyson Fury will come back, which will be a big, massive domestic fight, which they can cash out on, and they're a little bit more confident they can win for some reason. Yeah? And then maybe put off Deontay Wilder to 2020. I personally think they don't want the fight in April. And if you don't want the fight, stop talking about it and just move on. And say, actually, we've got other plans first. We'll fight you when we're, later on down the line. But they're not going to do that. Instead of doing that, they keep doing playing these games, manipulating the masses into believing their BS. Or, it's not going to work on me. I've said that before. Yeah? Okay, trying to discredit Deontay Wilder, drag his name through the mud, which I think's bang out of order, just so they can save face. But I personally think they don't even want the fight in April. That's what I think. I mean, there's a lot of people out there right now, yeah, a lot of individuals out there, who are boxing experts or seen as boxing experts, who are basically turning around and pretty much agreeing with the things that I'm saying. Right, and they said these things before I've said it in this video. Right, you look at Carl Froch. Carl Froch earlier on this year did a couple of interviews, and he even turned around and said that he doesn't believe the fight is going to happen this year. It's not going to happen this year. It'll happen next year if we're lucky. Yeah. He also said that Eddie Hearn is the reason the fight isn't happening this year. Now I'm going to play you some audios from interviews from Carl Froch that I uploaded onto my Instagram page. Yeah, check that out whenever you get the chance. But I'm going to play you the audios now, yeah? So listen to this.
You reckon we're going to see it by the end of the year? Well, I hope we do. I don't think we will. I think Joshua will fight one more, then he'll fight Deontay Wilder, and he won't get that in this year. But when it eventually happens, Anthony Joshua's my man. I've got a lot of confidence in him. I think he beats everyone at a minute in the heavyweight division. Deontay Wilder's his biggest test and his most dangerous test, and a fight he could lose. If he gets hit on the chin by Deontay Wilder will go for the finish. He won't let him off the hook like Klitschko did. He'll go for the finish, and if it does hurt Joshua, when he goes for the finish, if Joshua don't get hold of him or don't get safe or get out of there, depending on how far into the round it is, it could be in serious trouble, because the Bronze Bomber really does fight with mean intentions. He always has done. I've always liked his style. I like his aggression and his unorthodox approach to boxing. He does a lot of things wrong, but he's improving all the time. And I think it's a hell of a test for Joshua. But obviously, I've got my man. I think AJ beats him. I think he'll just take the centre of the ring, and I think he'll just use his size and his strength and meet Deontay Wilder as he comes. Wilder's not a big man. I've stood with him. He's tall, he's rangy, he can punch hard, but he's not naturally physically a big man. Don't get me wrong, he's big, but he's not a big, heavy, solid unit. He's got quite skinny legs, and I just think if Joshua takes his time with him consistently over 12 rounds, I've got him winning. But I'm not talking by much. This is literally marginal. And don't forget, by my own admission, this is a biased opinion. Joshua's my friend. My coach Ron McCracken trains him, so I'm not saying that's the only reason I'm picking him, but that's a big influence. You know, Josh is my man. I want him to win this fight. But Deontay Wilder, I'll tell you what, it's got to be getting Joshua sweating. He really has. I'm amongst the fans. I'm amongst like quite a lot of hardcore fans as well. People who enjoy boxing and watch it. And there's a lot of people who don't want to see the Dillian Whyte fight. Not yet. Nothing against Dillian Whyte, but he needs to get some momentum going. He needs to beat a couple of decent names. Can't jump straight in with him. I'd like to see that, but it's probably not realistic to ask that. So maybe Miller, Errol Miller, that would be a good fight. Another fight worth watching that's going to still build. And then I think he needs to fight Wilder. I've said it anyway. I've said it from the start. I think the Wilder fight, because I think he beats Wilder in a great fight. It's a risky one. And then when he beats Wilder, he's got the WBC. Does he not want the green and gold belt? It's my first title I won. That is the best belt in the business. Get that belt, you've unified it, you're then the main man. AJ's the main man anyway, but you're officially the main man. And then he can defend against whoever he wants and pick and choose and do his mandatories. Get Wilder out of the way now. This is a big fight. Probably not next. Fight after next. What is it? It's 60-40, 55-45 in AJ's favour. That's why I want to see it. AJ Wilder fight. Yeah, it's going to happen. I think it should happen in the next couple of fights. I just don't want this fight to slip away for the next 2 years. Want to keep sticking AJ in there with the next man in line. I mean, the WBC title should be enough incentive to say for AJ to say, right, you know what, I want to fight Wilder. I want to go for him. And he could do that after this one, which I don't think he will. We'll go for Miller, but after Miller, I think the crowd are going to start calling for it. The crowd are going to start making noise. The viewers, the paying public, they're going to start saying, good for the Wilder fight. Let's get it on. And I don't know if I'm upsetting people by saying he should fight Wilder, or if people agree with me. But obviously, you can see why the management team and everybody behind AJ would say, you know what, we don't need that fight yet. It's a little bit risky. But from a boxing fan, fight Wilder, then defend against whoever you want for the next 5-10 years, however long you want to reign for. Because I think AJ's that good. But I can see the risk. There's the big man out there, look. There's the reason the fight's not happening. I'm looking up at Eddie Hearn at the minute, by the way. He's not going to come down. He knows I'll put him under the car. Deontay Wilder's a great fighter, big puncher, awkward, but I think his technique isn't good enough to beat AJ. He can land a shot. If he lands a big shot on AJ and hits him on the chin, it could hurt him. And then he's one of them that when he tastes blood, he goes for the finish, and it could be a big upset for AJ. I don't think it would be, but it could be. But you've got to put AJ at the top. AJ's the man. But I'm a little bit biased as well. AJ's my mate. I like AJ. Rob trains him. My coach, my old coach. So people probably say, "Oh, well, Frotch is going to say that," but the AJ Wilder fight is like.
And there you go, Carl Froch, who was once promoted by Matchroom Boxing, who was once promoted by Eddie Hearn, who was once trained by Rob McCracken, who all now promote and train Anthony Joshua, who's close enough to that team to know how it operates and how it works, is saying the exact same thing, near enough I am saying, and so many others out there. Yeah, and he's not the only one. Okay, he is not the only one. Tyson Fury's giving his opinion on the whole situation. Frank Warren, again, he's saying that they don't want the fight. Yeah, Fury says they don't want the fight. Okay, even other people from the US, like Roy Jones Jr. says that he thinks AJ should wait a couple of fights before making the fight with Wilder. Teddy Atlas has said that, you know, AJ's team should be arrested if they make the fight next with Deontay Wilder. Yeah? Okay? Not only that, there's so many other names out there. Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield. They're all calling Anthony Joshua out on this bullshit.
Roy Jones Jr. said, and I quote, "I'd like to see Joshua get 1 or 2 more preparation fights in. I see him on the incline. He's getting better every fight, but I want to see him at his peak when he fights Wilder. I think Wilder is kind of at his peak now, and I'd like to see both men there for when they fight." Teddy Atlas said, "Wilder can do one thing. He can punch like a son of a gun. Why would you risk that if you could fight anybody? Joshua's people should be arrested if they put him in there with him right now. Right now, they can make money fighting other guys. Maybe a year, 2 years down the road, the fight becomes bigger, becomes a bigger fight. Then you go and take that risk." Remember guys, I will link all the article links, the video links to the interviews for these guys, you know, like Evander Holyfield, you know, Teddy Atlas, Roy Jones Jr., Tyson Fury, Frank Warren, you know, all these people. I played you Carl Froch already, what he thinks. Yeah, all these guys are saying AJ don't want it, Hearn doesn't want it, Barry Hearn doesn't want it, Matchroom don't want it. They want the fight later, they don't want it right now. They're all saying AJ wants another fight, or he wants another 2 fights, or he needs another fight or another 2 fights. Do you see it? And these are boxing experts, people you hold up as boxing experts from both sides of the pond saying it.
I hope it happens. I hope they give the fans what they want. And you know, they're getting a lot of money either way. It shouldn't really be about the money at that stage. They've all got a few quid. Wilder's got a few quid. He's got a few quid, Joshua. And they're going to get a lot of money. Why try and rip somebody off? I'm the A side, I'm the B side, this, that and the other. I want to give you 6 times your purse. What's that about? They're both undefeated world champions. Fight each other, 50-50 split. May the best man win, take all the belts. Done. Then they get to fight me, the lineal champion. And if you can beat me, then that's it then. They become the best in their era. Done. Get very complicated.
Cool.
Wilder's offered Joshua 50 million quid, yeah, to go over there. $50 million, right? Eddie Hearn and Joshua saying we've offered him 6 times his biggest payday. So if he's only had ever £1 million payday, they're offering him 6 million. What's that? He ain't going to tell you that, is it? Last purse got to do with anything though. I'm getting more for fighting Sefer than I did to fight Klitschko. What does the last purse really mean? Well, don't we advance as fighters every fight we have? Wilder deserves an equal right in that fight. And if he doesn't get an equal right, he shouldn't fight. Because if he doesn't, he's being used as a doss and a workman. Man's 14-0, 39 knockouts, WBC heavyweight champion of the world, the fighting pride of America. Why should he take $13 million when he's offered him $50 million? I know the offer's correct because the offer's come from Tom Loeffler, who's a very respected lawyer. And my lawyer knows him and he said the offer's genuine. So if they're not going to take 50 million for a fight, how much did he want? People out there who ain't got bread to eat. Never mind £50 million. I don't know. All the big fights take place in America. We all know that. Wembley Stadium was fantastic, yeah? 90,000 people. And he might do 1 million buys on pay-per-view too. But when you're in fighting in Las Vegas and they put a site fee down of $20 million, that just cuts the ticket sales and right down, doesn't it? You don't need to sell 90,000 tickets. You can sell 3,000 tickets and have a 20 million site fee. There you go, done. Don't need to sell any tickets. And what are you going to do? Do 1 million buys in UK or do 6 million buys in America? You know, this country has 65 million people in it. How many does America have in it? 365 million. All the big fights. If you want to be a big time boxer, every great fight from this country has ever had to go to America and win America and beat the Americans. It's always been a British-American showdown, hasn't it? Even from the days of John L. Sullivan and all the top fighters, bare-knuckle days, they all Brits fought Americans to be the best in America. Even singers, they want to go over to America and conquer America. Everybody. If you can conquer America and crack it, you're in. The Spice Girls, they were big in England, weren't they? Sell out, but they had to go and break America. Everybody has to go and break America. Of course. I boxed at Madison Square Garden in 2013, live on NBC, live on Channel 5. One of the most watched fights in history on terrestrial television by both sides of the pond. Listen, if I'm going to be a great, I've got to go to America and smash them. That's it. All of them. Wilder, Brazil, Miller, Whoever else, whoever did. Look, Lennox Lewis, the great Lennox Lewis, I'm sure he could sell out anywhere in England. Look, when he fought Bruno, Cardiff Arms Park, full. But where did he go? He had to go and crack America. Even Akinwande based himself in Nashville, Tennessee, and chanted USA when he fought Lewis, because he knew he had to crack America. Done. Every great fight from this country, Ricky Hatton, the great Ricky Hatton, could sell out this arena at Etihad Stadium every single time he fought there. But he didn't stay at welterweight, light welter. He moved up to fight the 2 best pound for pound fighters in the world. And where were they held? There wasn't held in London, Wembley, or Manchester Arena, or Manchester City. There was held in the United States of America, Las Vegas, Nevada, USA. That's where you got to go if you want to be big time.
And there you go. That was Tyson Fury's view on the whole AJ Wilder situation, the $50 million offer, etc, etc, etc. And pretty much what he said in there was exactly what I've been saying, you know, from day dot when it comes to this topic. You know, everyone's talking about it. This fight is huge. It's the biggest fight in boxing right now. You know, and all we got is, you know, we got AJ and Eddie Hearn playing these games. You know, just don't make the fight then. If you don't want the fight, don't make the fight. But stop talking about it, because you're making yourself look ridiculous. You know, because everyone out there, not just me, even professional fighters, ex-professional fighters, ex-world champions, world-renowned trainers are all saying the same thing. That you guys don't want it. Or you guys should take another fight or another 2 fights. Which is part of Barry Hearn's and Eddie Hearn's plan to make Anthony Joshua a billionaire, remember? Let me put it this way to you guys, yeah? Okay, I want to see this fight. All the real boxing fans out there want to see this fight. If there are any fans out there, meaning fanboys and girls, who are making excuses on behalf of Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn, you clearly don't want to see the fight. Which means you're not real boxing fans. You're just, what's the word that you like to use? Man fans. Yeah, you're in love with Anthony Joshua and that's it. You don't actually care about the sport of boxing. Real fans want to see this fight made next. Simple as that. Okay, so Eddie Hearn also recently said that if the fight doesn't happen with Wilder and Joshua in April, that Dillian Whyte could get an opportunity at a rematch against Anthony Joshua. Okay, right. This is Eddie Hearn setting the seed again, right? So this is, I said this earlier on, where I believe that they don't want the fight in April. That's why they're offering this $15 million offer contract, which AJ has signed apparently and sent back to Deontay Wilder. Yeah, it's another way to get Deontay Wilder to say, no, I'm not accepting that, so the fight doesn't happen. The fight doesn't happen. Eddie Hearn gets what he wants, because great, we don't have to fight Deontay Wilder in April. Now I can get AJ to fight Dillian Whyte. Both fighters I control. All the money goes to me. All the money goes to Matchroom Boxing. All the money goes to Sky Sports, AJ, and we give we give Dillian Whyte a nice little cut. But no one else gets the money. I control it all. Yeah, I said this about 6 probably videos ago. That was the reason why he wanted Dillian Whyte to fight Deontay Wilder so much. Yeah, that was the reason. Because he was hoping Dillian Whyte could beat Deontay Wilder, take the WBC belt and make a massive unification fight for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world between 2 British fighters here in the UK and make a massive domestic fight which he can make a lot of money off, and he would control all the money for the fight. And it looks like he's going that way, but unfortunately one bit of that plan hasn't worked out. Deontay Wilder hasn't given in to the little game that he was trying to play with Dillian Whyte, and Dillian Whyte will have to go up against Anthony Joshua as a challenger, not a champion. Yeah, but other than that, it's worked out exactly how I said it would about 6 or 7 videos ago. I could see that happening next. That's why they're offering him the $15 million contract again. It's so Deontay Wilder turns down the offer. Deontay Wilder's already turned down the offer even before they signed it and sent it back, or signed it, or whatever they're doing with it, or the games they're playing at the moment. Deontay Wilder already said the $15 million offer is now off the table. Yeah? He's not accepting it anymore. Yeah? The $50 million offer that they offered is now off the table. All deals are now off the table. You need to start, now we start negotiations right from the beginning. I'm not accepting a flat fee. And he's turned around and said he wants 50-50, which, let's be realistic, he's probably not going to get 50-50. But Nothing wrong with 60-40 or 65-35 in my opinion. Yeah? But, you know what I mean? So, they know he's going to turn it down. They're just playing this game in front of all of you people. You're trying to make it look, we're trying to make the fight. We're trying to make the fight, but it's him. No. You're not conning me. Sorry, I wasn't born yesterday. Yeah, I like to use my brain. Yeah? That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it out. Like, hey, look, we made this offer and he's now still turning it down. He accepted it before, now he doesn't want to accept it. Yeah, because it's a bigger fight in April. It was a bigger fight and it was worth more in September as well. He just turned around and said, you know what, I'm tired of these games, let's just make the fight. And he was willing to take the lesser payday. The unfair payday. But they didn't want it, so because they were expecting him. Think of it this way. They offered him 15 million to fight in September. Yeah, they thought he would turn that down. He didn't turn it down. It caught him off guard. Then they had to play further games with the WBA and they stepped in and saved them, etc, etc. I've already talked about this in my last video. Now they're doing it again. They're saying, here's $15 million. We've signed it this time. Take the fight in April at Wembley. He's already turned around and said, no, I'm not taking it. The fight's worth more in April. I want more money. Yeah? Now they're going to say, well, he turned down the fight with Wilder's not going to happen in April either, so we're going to have to go with Dillian Whyte now. And Eddie Hearn's going to be rubbing his hands together and going, yes! So is Barry Hearn going to say, well done, son. It's all, listen, I don't know how people aren't seeing this. How people cannot see this is beyond me. And all the idiots that jump on my videos making these comments and making this and saying that and da-da-da, la-la, whatever. I've rebutted all your excuses in all my videos that I've done on this. Go watch them all. You want an answer to your question? Go watch those videos. I will rebuttal every one of your excuses. I have done it already. Yeah? The fact is, they don't want this fight. I reckon if they can hold off this fight till 2020 latest, they will do it. Because after Dillian Whyte, they'll say, oh, Tyson Fury's ready to go. We're gonna fight Tyson Fury. I could see it happening. I saw this happening, so I could see that happening. So let's move on to the idiotic comments of Tony Bellew. Tony Bellew recently said that he believes he has a better record at heavyweight than Deontay Wilder. Do you know what? Tony Bellew, I've been actually meaning to do a video about Tony Bellew for a long time, yeah, and I just haven't got around to do it. And this is kind of giving me the opportunity to now say what I want to say about Tony Bellew. Tony Bellew is full of it. That man is delusional, yeah. He walks around like he's the elite, like he's an elite boxer here in the world of boxing, and he's not, yeah. First of all, before I carry on and start talking about Tony Bellew, I want to play an audio clip of Tony Bellew and what he had to say about Deontay Wilder a while ago, yeah?
Deontay Wilder's not that much heavier than you are.
Man, don't take weight as anything. Weight don't mean nothing, and I learned that from the first fight with David. Deontay Wilder weighed 15 stone 9 pounds. When he weighed in at that weight, Eddie Hearn texted me and said, Tom, come on. Deontay Wilder is only 15 stone 9 pounds. You know what my reaction was? You fucking fight him then. You know what I'm saying? It's very easy to say a man's 15 stone 9 pounds, you fight him. He's got a foot reset advantage on each arm over me. That brother hugged me and his whole arms went round my body and he tickled his own chin. His arm, it was like a giant cricket had put his arms on me. I was scared. So, well, that's a joke. I wasn't scared, but I thought to myself, I ain't never playing around with you. I really do believe I could be making a fool of Deontay Wilder for about 7 rounds, maybe 8 at a push. But then he's going to get me. And he would render me unconscious when he does get me. So he's the most dangerous heavyweight to Anthony Joshua's career. He really is. He is that dangerous and that powerful. Technically, he's poor. He's really poor. But it actually works in his favour when you're as wild and unpredictable as he is. Make no mistake, Deontay Wilder is nobody's fool. He is very dangerous, he is very powerful, but he is also very, very clumsy, and it will take a man of similar size and proportion with big power to beat him. Anthony Joshua is that man.
So there you have Tony Bellew openly admitting that he didn't fight Deontay Wilder because he was scared of him, because he stood next to him. Wilder gave him a hug, put his arm around him, and his arm wrapped around Tony Bellew and tickled his own beard, according to Tony Bellew, right? And at that moment he said, yeah, I'm definitely not getting in the ring with you. No way. I don't want any of that, yeah? So he basically crapped his pants, yeah? Okay. He also turned around and said that Deontay Wilder is the biggest single threat to Anthony Joshua's heavyweight position. Yeah, his position in the heavyweight division. Right? Here's my point on what Tony Bellew. Now, like I said at the beginning of this, Tony Bellew said that his record at heavyweight is better than Deontay Wilder. So if your record is better than, you know, Deontay Wilder's heavyweight record, yeah? Surely doesn't that mean you're the biggest threat to Anthony Joshua's position in the heavyweight division? Because what you're saying in turn is that my record's better than at heaveweight's better than Deontay Wilder's, which means you're basically saying you're a better fighter than Deontay Wilder. Right? Even though you've only had 2 fights at heavyweight, but that's what you're saying. Which means Deontay Wilder can't possibly be the biggest threat to Anthony Joshua's heavyweight position. You are. Yeah? You see what I'm getting at? This is how stupid his comment is. This is how idiotic the comment was. Yeah? This is a guy who's fought... This is a guy who fought a broken... No disrespect to David Haye. When David Haye was in his prime, I loved watching David Haye and his fights. Explosive, quick, powerful, yeah? All of that, yeah? But let's be honest, yeah? If Tony Bellew stepped into the ring with the David Haye that knocked out Derek Chisora or fought Nikolai Valuev or the cruiserweight version of David Haye, Tony Bellew would have got destroyed. Let's be real. We know that. The version of David Haye he fought was an old, broken down shell of a version of David Haye. Yeah? This is a guy who couldn't even generate power in his punch. He could barely stand on his feet in the ring. Yeah, his body has completely failed him by that point when he got in the ring with Tony Bellew. Not just the first time, but the second time too. Yeah, you could see when David Haye was fighting, you know, the body wouldn't do what the mind wanted it to do. David Haye knew what he wanted to do in the ring against Tony Bellew, but he couldn't do it because his body wouldn't allow him to do it. And that's the only way David Haye knows how to fight. He can't fight any other way. So it's like Roy Jones Jr. Once Roy Jones Jr.'s speed and quickness, his sharpness, the agility started to, you know, diminish, Roy Jones Jr. started losing fight after fight after fight. Yeah, same with David Haye. That's what happened to David Haye here. Fighters like that who rely on their quickness, their explosiveness, their power, you know, when that starts diminishing, they're easy to beat. So first of all, Tony Bellew, get off your high horse. You beat a name. That's what you did. You beat the name David Haye. You didn't beat the best version of David Haye though. Simple as that. You could have made that fight years ago if you really wanted it, but you didn't try. Yeah? The only person that Tony Bellew has really fought that I would class who's an in prime elite fighter was Adonis Stevenson at light heavyweight, and he smacked Tony Bellew up and knocked him out. You know? He lost his first fight, Tony Bellew, to Nathan Cleverly. Just about got, I think it was a split decision for the rematch. He won by split decision. He drew his first fight against Isaac Chilemba and then got a unanimous decision in the second fight, which he just about got, but from what I remember. Yeah? He really fought a nobody for the vacant WBC title at cruiserweight. Why didn't he try and go and fight the other champions at the time, like Marco Huck? Yeah, why didn't he try and unify the division? Because he didn't want anything to do with those cruiserweights. And he thought, I want to make some money, real money. What can I do? Oh, I know. I'll fight David Haye. I'll pick a fight with David Haye. At cruiserweight, he defended his belt, twice? And one of them was against BJ Flores, for crying out loud. And that's the night where he picked the fight with David Haye. And then he accuses David Haye, David Haye, all he cares about is the money. He's only in it for the money. That's the only reason he likes boxing. You're doing the same exact thing. The only thing is, he's twisting it and manipulating people out there. And he knows a lot of people don't like David Haye, so it works in his favour. But he's no different. He's doing exactly the same thing, hand-picking his opponents at the right time so he can win the fight and get a good payday. And then say, look who I've got on my record. But actually, if you're a real boxing fan, you'll know what you're talking about and you'll be able to see through all of it. Yeah? So Tony Bellew just needs to shut up as well. He's another idiot. He just goes along with whatever Eddie Hearn tells him. You see him in the interview sometimes when Eddie Hearn's doing an interview about AJ Wilder and he sits there like, you know, he knows what he's talking about. Do you know what I mean? Just ridiculous. Don't make me laugh. I will start giving Tony Bellew the respect and credit he deserves when he starts fighting someone who's in prime at their best. So if he fights Alexander Usyk, who put in a masterclass performance against Murat Gassiev this weekend, which was a great fight. I absolutely loved watching Usyk do what he did in the ring that night. It was great to watch. Yeah, if he actually fights Usyk and beats Usyk, I'll give Tony Bellew the credit he deserves. You know, or even if he fights an informed Tyson Fury, I'll give him the credit he deserves. But until then, you ain't getting nothing from me, mate. And your comments are just ridiculous. And anyone who's buying into that nonsense, really check yourself, man. Seriously. Basically, what I'm saying is, Tony Bellew has called out everyone and anyone. Yeah? But who has he fought? Called out Wilder, you know, shit himself for Wilder, decided he didn't want to fight Wilder. Talked about Joseph Parker, never stepped into the ring with Joseph Parker. Yeah? Had a word of wars with Dillian Whyte, nothing materialised out of that. Says he wanted to fight Andre Ward. Okay, Andre Ward's retired, so he wouldn't come out of retirement. But again, you know, doesn't seem like he pushed for the fight hard enough in my opinion. Yeah? You want Andre Ward to come out of retirement, you got to pay him big for it. Yeah? Pushing for the Tyson Fury fight, still nothing's coming out of that. Yeah? Now he's saying that he'll fight Alexandra Usyk, and that's another good point. Why didn't he enter into the cruiserweight tournament for the World Boxing Super Series? Take on all the cruiserweights, beat them all, and, you know, be the king. Why did you wait? That's what he's done. He's waited. He thought, you know what, I'm not going to enter the tournament. I'll wait till they all fight each other and they take each other out, and then there's one champion at the end, which is Usyk. Yeah, and I'll just fight him because I'm the WBC Emiratis champion. And I can ask for a title shot whenever I want. I'll do it the easy way. See what I mean? That's why I don't take Tony Bellew seriously. Now, you saw at the Dazn press conference what happened between Miller and Joshua. We saw what happened on the stage. I've linked in the description video something that the Boxing Voice put up recently, where Jarrell Miller chases Anthony Joshua in the corridor, and Anthony Joshua goes running into some room, or not, walks into some room with his security team around him. He didn't want any part of Miller. Now, a lot of people are, Eddie Hearn started this thing, yeah, where he said before that AJ was there apparently looking for Miller in the backstages and said, opened the door and said, come on, let's step outside, you and me. Gave him like a look like, come on then. Yeah. But here's my point on that whole video. That is the only video I've seen of that whole situation. Yeah. And I didn't see Anthony Joshua opening a door and nodding his head at Miller as to say, let's step outside and settle this. Yeah. There were loads of media there who recorded that moment. Yeah. Fight Hub, Fight Hype, Behind the Gloves, all those, they were all there. Yeah. Yet not one person that I've seen, not one channel, none of these major channels have put up a video showing me Anthony Joshua offering Miller out. Yeah. So until I see that video, yeah, I'm not believing Eddie Hearn's story. I think Miller chased down Anthony Joshua. Actually, Anthony Joshua didn't want any of it, and he went and stepped into the room with his security behind him. Yeah. Another thing, I know a lot of people there, they keep leaving the same comment around Deontay Wilder's Deontay Wilder's record. So I'm going to play you this audio clip from Anthony Joshua right now. Here it is.
That's what it was.
Is this a future possible matchup though?
Nah, it wasn't. It's not like it's some stage WWE thing. Nah.
Because Eddie Hearn said it's a possible...
he's a heavyweight, so you have to take... Honestly, I would consider any heavyweight, but Miller ain't on my radar. Povetkin, Wilder, I'd rather fight Whyte next. I'd rather fight Pulev because he's higher ranked. Who else is higher ranked than Miller? Oh, Miller's welcome, but I want to fight like stiff competition, solid competition, who have got good opponents on their record as well.
So there you have it. Anthony Joshua turning around and saying that he don't want to fight. He's not interested in fighting Miller, but he wants to fight Wilder. He wants to fight Povetkin. He wants to fight Whyte. He wants to fight Pulev, because these are guys who have good opponents on their records. Deontay Wilder was one of the names he just mentioned, who has who he says has good names on his record. Yeah. So all this excuses that you guys keep making, bum squad, he's fought nothing but bums, he's fought nobody, blah blah blah. Well, Anthony Joshua just said the complete opposite to all of that. So stop using that as an excuse anymore. It's getting, and I proved in my last video that you guys are all full of it, and that whole theory is a load of BS. But you need to just stop making these pathetic excuses. Be boxing fans, not fanboys. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, you look, when it comes to this whole situation, if the real boxing fans want to see this fight, the fake-ass casual fans who only follow the fighters, they're the ones who are blocking the fight, in my opinion. Yeah, who don't want to see the fight. That's it, straight up. Yeah, I'm going to reference a comment I once saw in a video of a YouTube channel. Yeah, and it was a lady who left a comment. Yeah, and she turned around and said that the problem with boxing is that we have a lot of fans of fighters out there, but we don't have enough fans of the sport of boxing itself. Barry Hearn, in the clip I played you earlier on, said it as well, that casual boxing fans outnumber the real hardcore boxing fans who love the sport and love everything about the sport. Yeah, okay, that says it all. That's what the problem we have in boxing. We have a disease in boxing, and it's called fanboyism. People who can't be bothered to take the time to actually learn about the sport, do their research, think for themselves. They need to be spoon-fed and manipulated. And they want, you know, they just support certain fighters, but they don't watch every fight every weekend like myself or other hardcore boxing fans out there. It's that simple. And as far as I'm concerned, this fight between AJ and Wilder, Eddie Hearn don't want it, AJ don't want it, Barry Hearn don't want it. I've proved it in this video once again. Yeah, okay. It won't happen in April. I think I'll be really shocked. I said I'd be really shocked if it happened this year. I'm really going to be shocked if it happens in April. I don't see it happening. I think a fight with Dillian Whyte will take place between AJ and Dillian Whyte in April, and then hopefully by then they'll be hoping Tyson Fury's ready and they'll go on and fight Tyson Fury, which means they'll try and put off the fight to 2020 with Deontay Wilder. That's just my take. As always, guys, I'm going to leave it out there because this one's been a long one. As always, like, share and subscribe. Until next time, this is Cypherbox reminding you to keep it real.